Tonight, I'm going to tell you a story that time itself tried to erase. A story buried beneath centuries of dust, silence, and blood. They call it Mazar-e-Kamash, the Shrine of Silence. A place where prayers were whispered and souls were never heard again. The locals say a guardian still walks those ruins, a being neither alive nor dead, bound to protect a secret older than the shrine itself. Some say it was built by saints. Others say it was built to trap something far darker. They say some places are not erased by time. They simply fall silent, waiting to be remembered. On the outskirts of an old town, surrounded by dense forest and endless fog, stood a forgotten shrine, a structure so ancient that no one remembered who built it or why. The villagers called it Mazar-e-Kamash, the Shrine of Silence. Legends said that it once belonged to a saint who made a deal with unseen forces to protect the land. But when greed overtook the people, the saint vanished, and the shrine became cursed. Generations passed, and the shrine sank deeper into isolation. Vines covered its walls, its stones cracked, and even birds avoided flying above it. Yet at night, travelers swore they could hear the faint toll of a bell, even though the shrine had none. Some said it was the sound of the saint's soul still guarding the place. Others whispered it was the spirit of something darker, something that took the saint's form long ago. No one dared to visit after sunset. Old villagers told stories of lights moving inside the shrine, of whispers in forgotten languages, and of footprints leading out, but never back in. Still, the mystery of the place refused to die. Urban explorers and thrill-seekers would sometimes come close, record eerie videos, and then vanish. Their cameras were later found near the forest edge, still recording static. For the people of that town, the shrine was not just haunted, it was alive, watching, waiting, guarded by something that had outlived centuries. And soon, someone new was going to disturb its sleep once again. A curious young man named Adil, who didn't believe in curses. Not yet. Adil was the kind of man who believed that fear was a story told to keep people in line. A rising social media explorer and photographer, he thrived on uncovering forgotten places, abandoned factories, haunted houses, ghost towns, anything that could feed the hunger of his growing online audience. One late evening, while scrolling through local legends, he stumbled upon a story about an ancient shrine deep within the forest outside his hometown. The locals called it cursed. The words, "No one returns after entering," caught his attention like a spark to gasoline. For Adil, that wasn't a warning, it was an invitation. Armed with his camera, drone, and flashlight, he planned a short trip with two friends, Rayhan and Bilal, both eager to join him for the thrill and the potential viral fame. They packed their gear, joked about ghosts, and laughed at the thought of meeting the so-called guardian that haunted local myths. Before they left, an old shopkeeper stopped them near the forest's edge. His eyes were pale with age, his voice trembling as he said, "If the shrine calls you, don't answer. Once it knows your name, it won't forget." Adil smiled politely, dismissing the warning as superstition. He didn't know that the forest had already started whispering his name the moment he decided to go. That night, as the trio entered the narrow path leading into the woods, the wind grew colder. Even the trees seemed to close in around them, their branches creaking like old bones. But Adil pressed on, camera recording, heart racing with excitement, unaware that each step he took was being watched. Not by an animal, not by a man, but by something that had been waiting for centuries. The path to Mazar-e-Kamash was not marked on any map. It began where the main road disappeared into the forest, a thin, uneven trail swallowed by roots and fog. The deeper Adil and his friends walked, the more the world around them began to lose sound. Even their footsteps seemed to fade into nothingness, as if the ground itself was swallowing every echo. Towering trees arched overhead like a cathedral of shadows. Their branches wove together, blocking out the moonlight. Only Adil's flashlight carved a weak, trembling circle of light ahead, swaying with each uncertain step. "Strange," Bilal whispered. "No birds. No crickets. Not even wind." Rayhan laughed nervously. "Maybe even the ghosts are asleep." But Adil didn't answer. His camera had just flickered, once, twice, before freezing completely. The screen went black. He tapped it, cursed under his breath, and turned it off. When he looked up again, the forest didn't look the same. The trail had shifted, subtly, but enough to make his stomach tighten. The trees now stood closer together, like a wall of black pillars. The air felt heavier, almost wet, filled with the faint scent of burnt incense. And then, they heard it, a low, rhythmic sound in the distance, like someone softly chanting in an ancient language. Each syllable dragged through the stillness like a blade through cloth. Rayhan stopped walking. Adil, who's praying out here? No one answered. The sound faded, replaced by a strange metallic clink, 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 echoing from deep within the mist. It was the sound of a bell that no one had rung for centuries, and it was coming from the direction of Mazar Kamash. The entrance of Mazar Kamash emerged from the mist like the mouth of a tomb, vast, cracked, and cold. Ancient inscriptions covered its stone arch, symbols older than any language Adil knew. The carvings glowed faintly under the flashlight, as if the stone itself remembered the touch of worship. Then Adil saw it, the mark, right in the center of the gate, etched deep into the stone, 2 eyes carved around a burning lantern. It seemed to watch them. Old Sufi design, maybe? Rayhan muttered, trying to sound brave. But Bilal whispered, "Why does it look fresh? Like someone carved it yesterday." Adil raised his camera. The lens clicked once. Flash, focus, capture. He looked down at the screen. Empty. No carving. No gate. Only darkness. He frowned, took another photo. Still nothing. The symbol refused to exist in the image. Behind him, the fog grew thicker. The air felt charged, like the moment before lightning. Suddenly, a faint flicker of light passed behind the doorway, not from their torches, but from inside. Someone, or something, was moving within the shrine. A sound followed, slow footsteps on stone. 3 steps, then silence, then a whisper, low and drawn out, echoing through the hollow air. "You should not have looked." The friends froze. No one spoke. The flashlight trembled in Adil's hand. But curiosity won over fear. Adil stepped through the arch. The gate closed behind them with a soft thud, like a breath being held by the earth itself. Inside, the air felt ancient, thick with the weight of prayers that had long died. Dust floated through narrow beams of pale light, seeping from cracks above. Stone pillars rose like frozen giants, carved with faded faces that seemed to watch their every move. No sound, not even their footsteps. Every movement felt muted, swallowed by invisible walls. In the heart of the shrine stood a massive circular hall. At its center, upon an elevated slab, sat a figure draped in white, motionless, head bowed, hands resting gently on its knees. From afar, it looked human. Too human. Rayhan whispered, "Maybe it's a statue." Adil zoomed in with his camera. The lens flickered again. Static. Distortion. The figure's head turned, just slightly, as if aware of the camera. Adil stumbled back, heart pounding. The temperature dropped sharply. Their breaths turned to mist. A faint humming filled the air, low and rhythmic, matching the same chant they'd heard in the forest. Then came the smell, burnt sandalwood mixed with something metallic, blood, maybe. The figure's robe shifted, a faint ripple like a slow exhale. Bilal gripped Adil's arm. "Let's leave, bro. Please." Adil hesitated. The explorer in him screamed to document, to prove this moment was real. But another part, deeper, instinctive, knew that every second inside this hall was being counted. And somewhere, behind the silence, the shrine seemed to whisper his name. Adil. The figure rose. Slowly, effortlessly. Its white robe drifted like mist around its feet, though there was no wind. A faint light burned behind its closed eyelids, a red glow that pulsed like a heartbeat. None of the boys moved. The silence pressed down on them, heavy and alive. When the figure finally spoke, the voice didn't echo. It vibrated, low and steady, as if the walls themselves were listening. "This place is not meant for you." Adil's voice cracked. Who are you?" The figure opened its eyes, bright, crimson, endless. "The Guardian," it said, "bound to this shrine for as long as men forget what they fear." The light from their torches dimmed, drawn toward the creature's glow. Shadows stretched, twisting into strange forms on the walls. Faces, hands, bodies, trapped in silent screams. Adil stumbled backward. "We didn't mean to disturb." "You already have," the Guardian interrupted. "You stepped on sacred ground. And now, it remembers you." The temperature plummeted. Their breath froze midair. The guardian extended a hand, stone-gray skin, marked with veins of fire. Leave, before it begins to remember your shapes. A single drop of molten light fell from its palm onto the floor, sizzling like acid. Where it touched, symbols ignited, the same eyes and lantern Adil had seen at the gate. The shrine was awake now, and it wasn't going to sleep again. Adil's fear flickered, but so did his pride. He had spent years chasing ghost stories and urban legends that turned out to be hoaxes. He refused to believe that this one was real. "I'm not here to harm anything," Adil said, voice shaking but determined. "I'm just here to document. That's all." The guardian tilted its head, a strange calm spreading across its face. Not anger, not mercy, just understanding. "Then remember this," it murmured. "You'll capture what should never be seen." The words sank into Adil's mind like frost. He lifted his camera again, ignoring the trembling in his hands, and snapped a picture. For a second, everything froze. Then the camera screen flashed violently, a blinding white light, before shutting off completely. When his vision cleared, the guardian was gone. Only the sound of dripping water echoed across the hall. Then Adil looked at the wall and froze. There, burned into the stone, was the photo he'd just taken. His own face, twisted, blurred, screaming, as if caught mid-horror. Rayhan grabbed his shoulder. "We're leaving. Now." Adil didn't argue. They turned toward the door. But the doorway was gone. Only stone. Solid. Unbroken. They were sealed in. And somewhere above, the shrine began to breathe again. A deep, hollow sound like the world exhaling after a long sleep. "It knows you now," Bilal whispered. "It's awake." A sudden burst of light filled the chamber. An ancient lantern hanging from the ceiling, rusted, cracked, half-forgotten, ignited on its own, flickering wildly. Its flame burned not orange, but blue. The light spread across the walls, revealing countless carvings they hadn't seen before. Symbols, circles, faces, and then names. Hundreds of them, each one carved in desperate strokes. Rayhan stepped closer, reading aloud. "Hassan Ali, Fatima Noor, Taimur." He stopped. His voice trembled. "These are people from the village, people who disappeared." Adil traced his fingers over one name. Umar Khan, a missing explorer from a decade ago. The stone was warm beneath his touch, almost like skin. Suddenly, the name glowed faintly red. He jerked his hand back. The glow spread to the others. One by one, the names began to burn with light, illuminating the entire shrine in a ghostly haze. A low voice filled the air. They entered without faith. They left without faces. The ground trembled. The blue flame turned crimson. From the shadows above, something began to move, the faint sound of chains dragging across stone. Bilal screamed, "Something's coming." But Adil was transfixed, watching as the lantern's fire bent downward, pointing toward the floor like it was showing them something. There, etched into the stone beneath their feet, was another symbol. 2 eyes and a burning lantern. But this time, the eyes were open. The guardian's voice returned, echoing through the shrine like thunder wrapped in prayer. "You seek truth in cursed ground. Then know this, the shrine feeds on memory." The walls began to shift, the carvings rearranging themselves like living things. The faces on the stone twisted, their eyes opening, mouths stretching in silent agony. Each one was real, trapped. Rayhan stumbled back, whispering, "They're alive. Oh God, they're still alive." The guardian appeared again, this time behind them. Its presence bent the air, every torch flickering low. "Those who enter this shrine become part of its prayer," it said. "Their names are written in stone so the world will not forget what it must fear." Adil fell to his knees, overwhelmed. Why keep them? Why not free them? "Because they were never meant to leave," the guardian replied. "They are the voice of the shrine, and now it has found yours." Adil's camera flickered back to life on its own. The lens turned toward him, though his hands weren't touching it. Click. Flash. The screen showed his face, pale and terrified. And behind him, dozens of faint, shadowy figures, people with hollow eyes and sealed mouths, standing just beyond the edge of light. The guardian raised its hand, the glow in its eyes intensifying. "You have seen, and those who see must remain." The shrine's pulse grew louder. The names on the wall flared one last time. before everything went dark. The floor trembled beneath their feet. At first, Adil thought it was another illusion, until he saw dust falling from the ceiling and the cracks widening in the walls. A faint scratching sound echoed through the hall. Slow, deliberate, rhythmic, like nails dragging across stone. Then, from the fractures in the walls, hands began to emerge. Pale, withered, human. Fingers scraped at the air, reaching as if begging to be freed. Faces formed next, distorted, half buried in the rock, their mouths frozen in silent screams. Bilal fell to the floor, sobbing. They're trapped. They're all trapped here. The guardian's voice rolled through the shrine, calm yet merciless. They broke the silence. The shrine took their sound. The walls pulsed like flesh, breathing in and out, veins of crimson light crawling across the stone. Adil felt something cold wrap around his ankle, a hand. He kicked free, but it clung tighter, whispering his name in 1,000 fading voices. His flashlight flickered wildly, revealing the faces of the missing villagers, every one of them now part of the shrine. He screamed, "Why are you doing this?" "Because the world forgets," the guardian answered. "The shrine remembers." And with that, the faces turned toward him, eyes opening, mouths moving. They began to pray, a low, mournful chant that made the air shiver. The shrine was alive, and it was hungry for remembrance. The chanting stopped abruptly. The guardian stepped forward, its glowing eyes dimming into something almost human. "Do you know who I was before this?" it asked softly. Adil shook his head, trembling. The guardian rolled back its sleeve. Its arm was stone, carved, cracked, veins glowing like lava beneath the surface. "I was once like you," it continued. "A wanderer, a believer. I came here seeking truth." The story poured out like confession. Centuries ago, the man who became the guardian was a scholar of faith and forbidden knowledge. He had tried to seal a dark entity beneath the shrine, but failed. The spirit had consumed his body and bound his soul to its will, forcing him to stand eternal watch. "Now I guard what I once tried to destroy," he said bitterly. "Every intruder feeds its memory. Every death keeps it alive." Adil's voice cracked. "Then help us escape." The guardian's expression softened for the first time. "If I free you, I die. But perhaps that is what must happen." He reached toward the burning symbol on the floor. His stone hand began to crumble, flaking into dust. The air trembled with a rising, guttural growl from deep beneath the shrine. "Go," he whispered, "before it takes my place." The ground split open, revealing a stairway of fire leading down into darkness. Something ancient was waking, angry that its guardian had broken the pact. The shrine shook violently. Flames burst from the cracks, licking the walls as the guardian fell to his knees, turning slowly to stone. "Run," he shouted. Adil and his friends sprinted toward the entrance, but there was no door, only a wall of blinding light. The heat was unbearable, the air thick with screams that didn't belong to the living. Rayhan tripped and vanished into the fissure below, swallowed by the darkness. Bilal grabbed Adil's hand, pulling him forward, but the light surged, separating them. For a second, Adil saw everything. The centuries of souls trapped, the guardian's agony, the true heart of Mazamash, a swirling void of memories, faces, and endless sorrow. Then the voice came again, no longer from the guardian, but from the shrine itself. "You have seen. You must remember." The light engulfed him completely. Adil screamed, his voice echoing into the endless void until everything went silent once more. When the silence returned, the shrine was still. Only ash remained where the intruders once stood. Outside, in the forest, the night wind carried faint whispers, 3 voices overlapping, lost and afraid. The shrine had taken its due, but its hunger was not gone. Morning came quietly. The villagers noticed something strange as they passed by the forest's edge. The heavy fog that once surrounded Mazar-e-Kamash was gone, but the air felt colder. An old man, the same shopkeeper who had warned Adil, approached the shrine with trembling hands. The great gate now stood open, its stones newly carved. And there, etched beneath the arch, was a name that hadn't been there before. Adil bin Salim. He fell to his knees, whispering a prayer for the lost soul. Inside, the hall was silent again, still, empty, timeless. Only the stone figure on the pedestal remained, robed in white, head bowed as if in eternal prayer. But those who dared to look closely swore it wasn't the same guardian as before. This one's face was younger, familiar, Adil's. The lantern above him burned faintly, casting long shadows across the chamber walls. And if you listened closely, beneath the silence, you could still hear faint camera clicks echoing in the dark. The shrine had a new guardian now, and once again, the world would forget, until someone else came seeking the truth. Some shrines grant prayers, the voice of the wind whispered, and some collect them.